Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. Up first this evening, the restrictions imposed by the government to prevent the spread of the coronavirus will expire tomorrow, June 30. To this end, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is addressing a press briefing which is currently underway. Let's listen in.
Entry program on the 15th of June. 82 persons have been tested positive from the numbers that have come in, and that translates to approximately 0.7% in terms of a positive rate, and that is well below what we had projected. We had projected that we would have probably a 2.5% positive rate, and we set our trigger from that from June 1, and the end of June, based upon that 2.5% projected positive, we would have had somewhere in the region of about 851 cases. Thankfully, that did not materialize. Our positive rate is 0.7, and we are at 698. So I think we could declare today that the program of controlled re-entry, which was between the 1st of June to the 15th of June, and then the program of controlled entry from the 15th of June to the 30th of June, I think generally you could say that those two programs were successful. We managed to bring in our Jamaicans safely, and we managed to bring in visitors and residents safely between the month of June. This is not to say that we are out of the woods. This is not to say that we can now become complacent. And as I observe, I am seeing where there is a sense of complacency setting in, where people somehow are of the view that the pandemic is over. That is not the case, and I want to take this opportunity to again appeal to our Jamaicans to remember, observe the measures, wear your mask, do your hand sanitizing, do your social distancing, and just be very careful about your personal health and your own interactions. The pandemic is not over, as you would see in countries that are close to us, that their numbers are rising significantly. And it is, aside from the good management that we have given to the pandemic, but a lot has to do with your own personal responsibility and your faithfulness and consistency in observing the measures, and that has ensured that we have kept our numbers here low. But that comes at a very high cost. And now we are at the point where we will have to reconfigure and rethink how we continue to apply our public health measures in terms of managing the pandemic. So let me turn now to some of the measures that are in place and how they are being reconfigured. So most of the measures that are in place would have come to an end on the 30th of June. So we have to give notice of what the new measures are to get people prepared. So as we seek to look at the new measures that will obtain as of July 1, 2020, we emphasize that we will continue to take a risk-based management approach, which is, as I've said, is evidence-based, measured, and proportionate. The objective continues to be the need to reduce the exposure risk of the population to COVID-19 while increasing the capacity of the public health system to respond to cases within the population so as to reduce the risk of spread of the virus. Now, curfews. The day to next day night to early morning curfews will continue in place, starting now at 11 p.m. on the night of June 30th, 2020, to 5 a.m. July 1, 2020, day to day, until 5 a.m. on the morning of July 31st, 2020. So essentially what that means is that we have increased your movement hours, reduced the curfew hours by 1 hour. So instead of 10 p.m., the curfew starts at 11 p.m., and this will be for the entire month of July. Licensed public passenger transport, whether or not they're state or privately operated, are allowed 1 hour after the end of curfew. So as of Wednesday night, July 1, that will now be between 11 p.m. and 12 midnight until the 31st of July 2020, and they will be allowed to travel home from their last passenger drop-off, and they would have 1 hour before the beginning of curfews. That would be between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. until July 31st, 2020, to travel to their first passenger pickup. Of course, no passenger must be transported in their vehicles during the additional 1 hour periods allowed for transport operators to travel to and from their homes. In terms of gatherings, gatherings are not to exceed 20 persons, and this will apply up to July 14th, 2020. And whenever we do the measures in 2-week stretches, that is to give us time to observe as to whether or not we can go for the long term with these measures. So we are increasing from 10 to 20. And gatherings, I think, have been the gathering rule has been a very important rule in the management of the pandemic. And we are at the stage now where we believe that we can increase the gathering numbers. However, we must at this point emphasize that for any gathering at all, you must practice your social distancing. That is the minimum 6 feet apart, and always wear your masks. Do your hand sanitizing. Do your own surveillance. Look for people who are coughing and sneezing and stay away from them. And if you are ill, stay home. In terms of the operating hours of markets and vending in public arcades and public transportation centers, these will now be as follows. Mondays to Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. You will recall that they were Mondays to Saturdays, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have now added an additional hour. Markets will remain closed on Sundays. This is usually the period of time that the various municipal authorities do their sanitization program and cleanup. Now, the creative sector and entertainment, we have heard the appeals from the entertainment industry. Indeed, I listened to them very carefully. I have seen some proposals come across my desk. I've listened to the interviews on radio. And I do know a few people in entertainment who constantly send me messages and who don't miss a beat to appeal. And of course, you will know that my constituency is the heartbeat of Kingston. Minister Bartlett will say Jamaica is the heartbeat of the world. We have a very vibrant hip strip in the constituency, so I get the appeals on a regular basis. Yes, we will be at our next COVID management meeting, which would be Friday of this week. We will now give some focus to looking at the protocols and some of the proposals and suggestions. This is not an invitation to inundate. We wouldn't be able to, examine all the proposals, but we will be looking now seriously at the industry to see how we can see to its reopening in a safe way for everyone. It will take some time. I'm not here telling you that next week or the week after, but at least we will start the process And just as how we have done with the bars and the churches and other areas that we have opened up, we follow the gradual approach, and we also ensure that it is evidence-based and situationally appropriate. So I want to thank the entertainment community for their patience. Yes, I have seen some of the flyers saying no entertainment. Well, I won't say what the other part of the slogan is, but Minister Mackenzie, I believe you showed me the flyer where it said no entertainment, no voice. Yes, well, we pay close attention to the entertainment industry and our friends in the entertainment industry. We want to get you back up and running, but we want to do it safely. So we'll start the examination of that on Friday. I'm almost certain that the Economic Recovery Task Force would have spent some time looking at some of the protocols as well. So significant work would have been done in some areas of entertainment. So we'll put all of that together, and we should now be in a position within the month of July to see how best we can reopen some of the entertainment venues. In terms of restaurants and places of amusement, Minister Mackenzie will give you a briefing today, but I expect that in Parliament on Wednesday you will give
Prime Minister Andrew Holness there at a press briefing which is going on right now at Jamaica House. Of course, if you were listening in, he said among the changes that are to come into effect at the end of the month, Tuesday the 30th, the curfew is now extended from, it usually starts at 10, it now starts at 11 and runs to 5 o'clock in the morning. And also gatherings, the limitation on gatherings was 10, that now has been increased to 20. We'll continue to monitor the Prime Minister at his press briefing, and we'll give you anything that is said at his, as soon as it is available. We don't take a break here on Primetime News. Please stay with us.